naming the North Smithfield Football Stadium as the Veterans Memorial Stadium. That's at G. That's why we're nervous.
We're going to trade all your nerves. We're going to have Mr. Beauregard come up here shortly and explain the whole process, everything that he requested to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, you will feel better when you walk out of here tonight than you do right now.
Okay. So, well, actually, I feel fine. But while we're up here, I did want to say that it is hard when you're dealing with political situations to leave sometimes without having unrest, to come away from political discussions feeling like your soul is still intact. So one thing I pushed as an initiative tonight, and I hope that people think about it, it is last minute. I brought some canned goods in today, and I was hoping that perhaps the town council could make a push, and all the councils actually in the town could make a push every time that the constituents come in, that we donate one canned good to the North Smithfield food pantry. And if we can't donate a canned good, then maybe we just put in a little bit of money. So maybe we don't agree on anything else, but I think we can all agree that we can help out the citizens by giving $1 or $2.
It's a great idea. I don't think we can't enforce it, but it's a good idea.
It's just a suggestion. It makes you feel good. All right, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it, except for Mr. Pelletier, but we're holding off on.
Okay, we're just going to move on now. What I did was, however, since we're on the subject, I would like to move, if you want to move agenda item.
Excuse me, John,
Yeah.
can we add one more person?
I'm sorry, did somebody else want to come on?
Would you like to say something?
I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah.
Hi, April Lombardi, 7 Indigo Farm Road. I want to ask something of everybody in this audience. Cynthia, I appreciate what you said. Fred, I know we had some correspondence today. I appreciate everybody coming here and speaking their mind. Mr. Clifford, I appreciate that you are passionate about what you believe in and what you want to see happen. But we're better than this, North Smithfield. I am so sick of seeing the unrest in the arguments, in the accusations, and we talk about cohesiveness, and we all want that, and we want to be a town, and we all want to get along, but we need to find a way to do it. We can't have, well, this faction doesn't like this people, so they're arguing with this faction. And, I mean, I know some people look kind of confused what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, because we see it all the time. We're better than this. I don't know why I go and read the stuff that I read, because it drives me insane. Not because I disagree with everything or because it doesn't make sense to the person that's saying it, but there are ways that we can go about expressing our discontent and expressing our opinions without bringing each other down, without making somebody that we dislike for whatever reason look bad or look like they're the worst person in this town. We can get our point across and we can say what we need to say while still being a community and still working towards a goal that I think we all have, and that's to make this town better and to make this the best place for our kids to live. And we need to find a way to do that as a community, not as different factions in town, because it's not working. And it makes me sick to my stomach sometimes when I look at it and I read what I read and I'm like, we're better than this, that's all I can say. Not as individuals, but we're better than this as a town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, what's the chief? Chief, I'm going to move you up. We'll get you up right now. We're going to find what number, where is it?
Just the consent agenda, Mr. President, if there is any question about that, part of your consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. Okay. So you want me to just move on to the whole consent agenda then? All right. Discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. The items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless the council so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have any item they would like removed from the consent agenda for further discussion?
I did want to ask, Because I think we're going over the purchase order, is that?
Yep. Is this for the A, protective clothing?
Yes.
Okay. Chief, you want to come up?
Hi. I was just curious, is this something we're doing because of the new fire engine, or is it time to?
This is protective clothing that it's time to refurbish this. As a result of an audit that I did when I first got here in July, going through protective clothing, I found that we have several sets of protective clothing that's out of date and needs to be replaced. So this will take care of replacing 5 sets for now of protective clothing, along with helmets, boots, gloves, and protective hoods as well. It's just to bring everything up to NFPA standards. The NFPA requires that everything be refurbished every 10 years. So we're behind in that in some areas.
All right, so with our unique setup of the fire department being separate from the town,
Yes.
then this equipment becomes the property of the town.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for the chief while he's here?
Is there any other equipment that you deem that you need or you'll see shortly? I think it's important that you have a pool.
Right. Part of that money that's being requested is also for an ice rescue sled. We only have one currently in the town. It's on one side of town. So I've requested the money for one to be on this side of town to cover the Primrose Pond and Lake Belair. So that's part of that money. But in the future, I'm going to be setting up a program where we will be replacing protective clothing in small groups at a time, rather all at once, all 23 sets at one time. So once we get back on track with the protective clothing that I'm requesting tonight, and then I'll be requesting funding for 5 more sets next year, then we'll be able to get onto a program where maybe in 5 or 6 years from now, we'll be able to be replacing maybe 5 sets at a time so that everything is up to speed.
That was the procedure in the past, Chief.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a question, maybe Mr. Jesus can help with. Payment of this, is this not third-party billing, or is this coming out of the fund?
The money actually is reserved for contingency, fiscal 17.
Okay. And we're looking for $19,085.30, is that correct, Chief?
That's for the protective clothing.
Yep.
There's an additional $3,600 for the ice rescue platform that I'm requesting as well.
Unless there's further discussion on the
That was a separate PO.
We'll make the motion to approve this whole thing with the whole consent agenda, I believe, right? Because it's in the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anyone have anything else that they would like to ask the chief? Anything else you would like to pull from the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I just note for the record that neither I nor the clerk have anything referencing $3,600. The only item I see is the $19,085.30.
That's what I have, $19,085.30.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not part of this.
That's not part
Oh,
of
okay.
this.
All right.
So I just want to
My mistake,
know
I'm
what you're
sorry.
voting on.
We were dealing with 2 POs. I just assumed it was in
Topic, next meeting, Chief.
Okay, so within the motion to approve the consent agenda, we'll be approving a payment of $19,085.30 for the purchase of the protective clothing.
So, yeah, are we looking for a motion, or are we just going to do it?
If there's no other
Okay.
items, I will.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second motion.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mr. Mealy?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Beauregard?
Yes. So what I'm going to do now also is going to move things around a little bit. I'm going to move agenda item 9G to the top of the agenda at this time. Discussion, anybody there? Okay, discussion by council vote of action on support for naming the North Smithfield football stadium as Veterans Memorial Stadium. I'm the one that asked for this to be on the agenda. Mr. Girton, can you please come up here and straighten a lot of this misunderstanding out? A lot of rumors flying around.
I don't know why, but the phrase "no good deed goes unpunished" comes to mind. sad to say. I want to thank the council for taking the time to hear what I have to say tonight. My name is Tony Gerton. I live at 8 Country Way, and I come to you tonight as proudly serve as chairman of the North Smithfield Parks and Recreation Commission, but also a part of a group of people, an informal group that was put together in relation to one singular event and how it evolved from there. So first off, I'd like you to know that what has transpired over the last year plus certainly has not happened in a vacuum. So for anyone to be held accountable for the lack of knowledge on someone else's part, well, you know what? It certainly wasn't intentional, and I think you'll see that, to the contrary, we've tried to do everything we could to make people aware of what's going on. And in conjunction with that, there was a school committee meeting back in September or October, last month, where I stood at the same podium and had the same discussion. And that was on the agenda, and it's on YouTube. I believe you recorded it. And anybody can go look at it, see for themselves what's been happening. Additionally, I'll ask School Committee Chairman Lombardi to step up here and add his thoughts in the course of what I'm about to say, but I know he's planning a public hearing in this regard, so nothing's being hidden. We've tried to disseminate as much information as we can. I'm here tonight because I am hopeful the town council, much like the school committee has already done, basically says, yes, we think this is a good idea, and we support it. So that's all we're here for. We're not looking for anything more than that. We're not looking for you to force anything to push forward. We just want to be heard. So let me read, sadly, an obituary. Matthew R. Turcott, specialist, U.S. Army, 20, was killed accidentally during a combined arms live fire training exercise at Fort Carson, Colorado, Wednesday, August 23rd, 2017. Born in Providence, Matt was the beloved husband of Megan Fothergill Turcott and the son of Raymond and Liza Rivera Turcott of North Smithfield. Matthew was a lifelong North Smithfield resident, member of the cross-country and football teams, graduating from NSHS in 2015. After graduating, he joined the Army and was a specialist assigned to the Army's 4th Infantry Division and had served in Kosovo. During the 2 years that he served in the Army, he earned, and it goes on to list, multiple medals in 2 years' time. So Matt just happened to graduate from North Smithfield High School with my daughter, and I knew him a little bit, not real well, but I know his uncle very well, an old friend of mine. So, after his passing, I asked a small group of people to get together, informal, nothing that required any agenda or any minutes, a discussion around a possible way we could commemorate the memory of a fallen soldier. So, the first informal meeting, informational meeting, was held in September 2017, over a year ago. And there have been multiple meetings since that time. Included in those meetings have been Town Administrator Ozofsky, Town Council President Beauregard, School Committee Chairman Lombardi, Superintendent St. Jean, Facilities Director Seebe, School Committee Member Fran Johannes, NSA President Michael Black, North Smithfield Parks and Rec Representative Bill Nangle, and we also had a member of the Turcott family there as well. He doesn't even live in town, but he cares enough about what we're trying to do that he made himself part of this. So, basically, the discussion has had multiple incarnations, and ultimately, I sent an email, which you were all copied on, as well as the administration, and quite a few people in town. On August 30th, and I'll read the email. Good afternoon, after it was addressed to the school committee chair in Lombardi. Good afternoon. After further consideration and discussion, I would like to amend the message sent to Superintendent St. Jean on March 5th, and we had discussed different options for naming. At this time, I formally request that the North Smithfield School Department consider naming the NS Turf Athletic Field on Providence Pike Veterans Memorial Stadium to honor all U.S. veterans who have served our country so honorably. Additionally, I ask that consideration be given to constructing a wall of heroes, a wall of honor on site at the stadium, honoring the memory of those soldiers who have graduated from North Smithfield High School and were killed in the line of duty, and sadly enabling future fallen heroes to be remembered as well. I'm hopeful the entire community of North Smithfield, the local chapter of the VFW, and more will support this initiative, and the project will be a fitting tribute to all who have served and those we have lost. In conjunction with the planned upgrades to the facility, including proposed bathrooms, concession area, I also believe fundraising efforts can support multiple improvement projects, including the Wall of Heroes, potentially a brick walk, monuments, flag poles that will make Veterans Memorial Stadium and the Paul F. Joyce Athletic Complex a focal point for civic pride. Please consider placing this initiative on the next school committee agenda. Be happy to discuss. Let me know if you have any questions. So they did, and we discussed. I hope I elaborated what we're trying to accomplish. Certainly, we are not, by any stretch, looking to diminish the memory of Superintendent Paul Joyce. And in fact, to the contrary, we are, that entire complex has evolved over the past 10 years since this facility was constructed. And it's not the same place it was when it was named after Paul Joyce. So that name that we see when we walk out back here and walk up the steps, the Paul Joyce Athletic Fields, in my opinion, doesn't really describe what we have back there anymore. We have a complex. We have multiple facilities, which, by the way, for those people who fail to recognize that we're not taking away from Dr. Joyce, there were already facilities back there that are named, including the Pat Dowling softball field and the Mitch Michaud basketball courts. Do they diminish from the memory of Dr. Joyce? I personally don't think so. So what our group proposes is that we name just the football field Veterans Memorial Stadium for all those reasons I enumerated, and also, in my opinion, to further honor Dr. Joyce, who I understand is a World War II veteran. So I had a discussion today with Dr. Joyce's son, and I explained all this to Dr. Joyce's son, and his response to me, I think my dad would love it. I hope the people in the audience who think that for whatever reason we were trying to hide something or we weren't being forthcoming with what's going on, understand that we're trying to do our best. We're all volunteers. And John, I think you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes people have to understand that the reason we have elected officials is because we can't have 11 or 12,000 people making a decision all the time, right? And the reason we have appointed officials, like myself, is to help drive this sort of thing. And that's all we've tried to do here. So anybody who states that we're trying to take anything away from the memory of Dr. Paul Joyce, who, by the way, as an aside, was part of the process that gave my dad his first job in teaching. So I assure you, Personally, I would never do anything to try to diminish his memory. They're wrong. Whoever says that is completely wrong, and either misinformed or underinformed. I don't know which it is, but I hope they're informed now. So I'd ask school committee chairman, if you want to come up and talk a little bit about where the school committee is coming from on this.
Sure, thank you. Tony, thank you for all of your hard work on this. We really appreciate it. My name is Jim Lombardi, I'm the school committee chairman. Tony contacted me on this issue, and I thought it was a great issue. I thought I mean, we can't lose by naming the football stadium Veterans Memorial Stadium, but that's just my opinion. So what we did was, we heard from Tony, we had it on the agenda, and as Fred mentioned, I said, okay, let's call for a public hearing. I don't know how you can't be more transparent than that and get people involved in it. So the moral of the reason why I'm here tonight is, you know, things on Facebook are insane. I mean, nobody picks up the phone, nobody emails you, and all of a sudden, we want to take Dr. Joyce's name off the stadium. Can you just pick up the phone? Why is that allegation even made? I don't know where it came from. We're not being transparent. Why are we making those allegations? So I came here tonight to defend our actions. We're open, we're transparent. Mike, if it wasn't clear enough on the agenda, it was only to bring it up publicly, and we're gonna have a public hearing. We didn't vote on anything other than that. I mean, I'm shocked by it, to be honest with you.